Good morning and hi everyone. I am going to be working on my diamond painting for a little while today before I start running my errands. And it's Wednesday, just before noon. I got a slow start even though I got up early this morning and did my morning routine. But I just wanted to jump on and do a little video here to talk a little bit about what's going on this week and do some diamond painting. So first I want to thank you for being here and for following me, watching my videos. I really appreciate it very much. My name is Mary and I live with my grandkids. Actually, that my grandkids live with me as well as my daughter and her husband and my two chihuahuas. Skittles, our little spotted gecko, and Piper, my little lady golden finch. So that's our happy family, and it really is happy. So I've gotten 8 squares done so far on this Chuck Pinson, and I'm making slow progress, but good progress. It's really looking good. I think that I'm going to be so pleased when I'm finished with this. And so, like I said, it's Wednesday, and I need to go to the grocery store and get some fruit, make a fruit bowl for the last day of my grandson's class at church. They're having a little party. I need to do that. I need to get some mealworms for the gecko and a couple groceries while I'm out. I'm feeling a little better today. I'm on and off having sinus headaches, but today I woke up without a headache. I had a bunch of strange dreams last night, but nothing that I can really remember totally, just little bits and pieces. But I remember waking up a couple times and having to go back to sleep thinking, don't think that. So they weren't bad dreams, but I don't think they were very pleasant. I'm not really a person that remembers their dreams, or I don't even know if I dream, but when I do, it's usually a doozy. But although last night it was just a little bit of stirring around. Oh, my dog is getting ready to reverse sneeze. Dottie, are you okay? Calm down. Calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, good girl. I have Toby back on his trazodone. I think that's what it is. It's to calm him. I did try last week to give him his pill, but I only gave him like a quarter of what they said to give him because I wasn't sure how his reaction would be, and I was really so I was really nervous about giving him a pill. I don't like to give my dogs medication, and I've been fighting it for over a year to not give him any medication and just try to help him through his anxiety. But in talking with the vet last week when I had Dottie in for her dental, she prescribed this trazodone and a half a pill every 12 hours. So I gave him a quarter and it did not affect him at all, except I noticed he really had no appetite. And this dog doesn't like to eat that much. He's just too nervous. But I gave him the other half the next day, and he was acting like he was having a little bit of difficulty breathing. So I did some research, and there was nothing that said that dog side effects on that would be breathing difficulty. Although there was one case, well, they did mention that some dogs, very rare, might have an allergic reaction, like hives. But Toby didn't have that, so I just didn't feel comfortable giving it to him. So now a week later, watching him still not want to eat, He will eat at night real late, like 9 o'clock. He'll go to his food bowl and he'll eat some dry food. So he is eating enough to survive, but he's just a funny dog. So I gave him a half a pill this morning, and I noticed after I took care of the birds, well, I have one bird. I say birds because I've always had more than one, but I took care of the bird, and I noticed he was very relaxed. So I gave him the proper dosage. So that's probably why now it seems to be helping him. He's currently sleeping. Usually he does at this time of day anyway, but he was up a little earlier when my son-in-law was in the backyard doing some gardening and edging, and he wasn't scared. I didn't take him out back, but I did let him look out the window. I held him, and he wasn't acting fearful. So that's a big plus. So I'm going to keep on giving it to him just to see if he progresses further with his calmness, because it just can't feel good to be scared all the time. Dottie, what do you want? Whenever I'm filming, you're always scratching at my leg. You are fine. Do you want to come up here? Come on. Come on. Come on, little jelly bean. All right. You want to see what I'm doing? Okay, so I'll hold her in my lap. Do you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Yeah? Hello. So my morning routine, everybody has a morning routine, I'm sure. And honestly, I don't know how I worked full time and took care of animals and got myself to work by 8 o'clock every morning, because I'll tell you, I have a routine that I try to cut corners and everything, but it still takes me a couple hours in the morning. So what I do when I wake up is I have to dash Toby out in the backyard. We have a privacy fence. Put him back there so he can do his business. Dottie won't go back there in the morning because she likes her walk. So then I come upstairs and hurry up and brush my teeth, get myself halfway presentable, get dressed, and get her on a leash, bring Toby back into the house, put him upstairs in my room where he feels safe. Then I take Dottie out, take her for her walk, and it depends how long we're out there. If it's too sunny and hot, we're not out there very long. But if it's nice and not too, if I get out there early enough and it's not hot, we usually do a long walk. And then I bring her back in and I make my protein shake. And while I'm making my protein shake, I'm getting their dishes ready, their breakfast. Usually Dottie eats, and of course Toby doesn't, but I still make him breakfast just in case. And I have to watch them because Dottie will eat his food. I'm thinking about bringing the crate back to the house and putting Dottie in the crate while Toby eats so that she doesn't steal his food, because it's kind of hard for me to pay total attention to her at all times. She's very sneaky, and she will go into the little room that I feed him in, and she will try to steal his food, even though she's eaten all hers. Dottie, you're licking my arms and they're all slobbery. Stop licking. I'm going to put you down. Here, let's get down because you're just moving all around. Here. Go on. Ooh. Okay, so, and then I go in and I feed the gecko and give him fresh water and give him his mealworms. Talk to him for a little bit. He's a real social guy in the morning. He wants to come out of his little cave and look at me and watch me get his worms out, and he's pretty cute. And then I come back and I start taking care of the bird. So I'm kind of OCD about my bird cage. I have to clean it every single day in order to just feel comfortable. I mean, I want my bird to be in a clean environment, so I take out his food dish and I take out his toys. He's got a couple little hanging perches and stuff. And I take out his water dish. I scrub his water dish and clean it and dry it and put fresh water in. And then I refill his food. I wash his dishes. I refill his food. And I give him bird seed and I give him a little fruit mix seed. And I give him crushed eggshells from hard-boiled eggs. And I give him these, it looks like grass. It's sort of like his vegetables. I don't know what it's called, but it just looks like grass, dried up. And he really likes that. And I give him some egg meal. And then I put everything back in the cage. I change the paper at the bottom, give him fresh paper. And then I vacuum all around. I actually vacuum the whole room, but I vacuum around his cage. I clean the windowsill because he's right by the window. And then I put everything back in place, his cage back where it was, and turn on a LED light over his cage so he always has some light, which in front of the window he gets light, but he just likes that lamp. So, and then I hook up his Chromebook. It's like a little laptop, and I put nature on there, other birds, so he can watch them. Now what else do I do? Usually by then, I'm ready to take care of myself. I either take my shower or I just, I take it at night. And I just get up in the morning and do all my chores and then put on my makeup and then try to run my errands before I sit down and diamond paint. Because once I sit down and diamond paint, I don't like to have a time limit to have to get up and go to the store and run my errands. I want to just get everything done and just relax. So today, I haven't run my errands yet. I kind of went against my grid, and I'm going to be doing that after I film. I just wanted to do a little bit here. I got a lot done last night, and I was very anxious to continue. But my dogs wanted me to go to bed, and they were pacing. So they run my life. I'm always worried about them when I'm not home. I have to stress less about them because stress isn't good. And I do a lot of stressing over my dogs. And I have for a year and a half now, so I could just imagine. I can imagine how many gray hairs I've gotten because of them. But actually I haven't really gotten that many gray hairs yet. I don't know when I'm going to get gray hair because I'm 65, but I'm happy about it. My dad didn't have gray hair. He only lived to 78, but he had pitch black hair. And his dad didn't gray either. His dad lived to 82 and had pitch black hair. I guess it's some kind of gene that is inheritable because I think I inherited it. And I have a sister. Actually, my sisters aren't really graying either when I think about it. But my mom did. My mom said she started getting gray hair in her late 20s. But there's always hair dye, if you don't want to go natural, which I think a lot, I see a lot of ladies with gray hair in church, and some of them have really beautiful gray hair. I mean, just such nice texture, and I would have a feeling that mine would be not a good texture. It'd probably be like stiff wire, probably. I don't know. Just the couple gray hairs that I have found seem to be a lot different texture than my hair. Here's another diamond with a tab on it. I don't know, it's not that bad, so I'm gonna leave it. But that drives me crazy because then they don't line up perfectly straight or close together. I just jump around. This square that I'm working on is going to be a really nice square. It's got the parrot, one of the parrots. There's a couple parrots in here, but it's got two of those not Amazon, what do you call them? Macaws, and it's the blue and gold ones. So there's two blue and gold ones on this side of the canvas, and on the other side, I think, yeah, on the other side there's the red ones, the red and the blue. I can't wait to get my Dreamer Designs canvases that I ordered. I haven't ordered from Dreamer Designs in a long time, so I'm curious to see how they've changed, because I haven't had a new one in over a year, and apparently, from what I heard, they've done some great enhancements, or what's the word? I have a loss for words today. They've bettered their product. They've made their drill field tighter, for one, and I think their drills they upgraded. Not sure. It might just be the drill field that they changed, but in any case, I'm anxious to check it out. Now this canvas, when I'm finished, I'm going to have it dry mounted like I did the last two. And the girl at Michael's, when I told her what I was working on, because she remembers my first Chuck Pinson that I took in there, it's the same girl. And I told her that I was working on a second one, and it's also an island scene. And she said, "Oh, I hope that I can see it." And I told her, "Yeah, I'm gonna be bringing it in to have it dry mounted." The staff there at Michael's gave me a lot of compliments on that Chuck Pinson Island Time. This one's Island Life, but they really liked it. Okay. Who's peeking at me under the covers? Is that you, Dottie? I see her nose and one eye. Okay, let's see here. The house is quiet. Kids are in school. My son-in-law is off today, but he's busy. He's working out in the yard and doing stuff. I'm really fortunate. He's a chef, and he is fabulous in the kitchen. And he works nights though, mostly. But when he's home, he cooks. And oh my gosh, he just makes so much, not so much food, but incredible food. It's so delicious. He really has a knack. He entered a contest at his work. They had to create and make a sauce, and he's really good at sauces. So he made a sauce. He didn't win. I bet his was probably the best too. But anyway, he made a sauce and it was sort of a barbecue key lime. And I know that that just sounds kind of weird or funky, but I'm sure it was delicious because everything he makes is so good. He said you could taste the key lime in it and the flavors blended really well together. But I didn't get to try it. He didn't bring any home. And a lot of chefs and cooks entered. You know, it wasn't just like he works for Disney. So there's a lot of cast members, a lot of employees there, a lot of kitchen staff, and probably a lot of entries. You know, I can imagine. But I'm glad he entered because he's been there about 5 years now, maybe going on 6. I got him the job when I was retiring from Disney. I told him, hey, go out there and see if you can get a job. They're hiring. So he did. And I didn't really do much. I told our HR that, you know, I had a son-in-law who's going to apply for a kitchen position, and he had to go through all the same testing that all the applicants do. They actually interview them, and then they send them. We're at a beach resort. We're not in Orlando, but they send them to Orlando to Walt Disney World, and they interview there, and then they have to cook, and they have to, like, they have like a panel of judges, a panel of food and beverage managers that taste their food and I guess watch them cook, and then based on that is if they get hired or not for the position that he was trying out for. So he did good, obviously. He got the job, and he's very happy because he said that this is a career job. You know, he had worked in a lot of restaurants before, but he really, really, really enjoys working at Disney and appreciates the leadership that he has there and appreciates the Disney difference, which that's what Disney calls their benefits. You know, they get free passes to get in, they get discounts and so forth and so on. So he's really happy there. And I'm happy for him. And my daughter, she works as an occupational therapist assistant. And she loves it and works with patients that are elderly, but also with patients that are young and have been in like motorcycle accidents, car accidents, you know, anything that would require having to have therapy to get back to how you were to be able to take care of yourself. You know, so she's been doing that for over 10 years now. And I'm really proud of her because some of the things she does, giving people showers and helping them get back to where when they go home, they can give themselves showers and showing them, you know, how to be safe and careful and checking their home to make sure that they have what they need, as well as, you know, doing the reports at the end of her shift on all the patients that she had for the day. You know, she has a pretty big job, but she loves her patients and they love her too. A lot of times they give her little tokens of appreciation and it's so sweet. But at the same time, it's really sad because some of them don't make it. Especially like the very elderly that go in for therapy after a terrible fall or surgery, and it's hard. But she was cut out for that kind of thing. And she said she'll take care of me when I get old. Which is comforting to know that, I have a daughter who's going to watch out after me. Okay. What else do I want to do here? I think I'll work my way up. I'm skipping around to the different colors that I'm working on. So I was working on W, which is a dark brown. So I filled in this one square, all the places that had the W. I tend to do it that way. I work square by square, but I try to work one color at a time in that square. That just seems to be the most relaxing way for me to do it. I love diamond painting. I'm so glad I found it. I looked it up to see when the first diamond painting started, and apparently it started in China, and it was around 2010 is what I read on Google. So it hasn't been around for years and years. I mean, it's been around, almost 15 years, but here in the United States, probably not as long. But I was glad to find it at the time I did. I actually found it a couple months before my dog was diagnosed with the tumor that eventually I had to have him put down because of the location of the tumor and him being too old for an operation and not in the best health. He did have pancreas problems and heart problems, and he was almost 15. But I had diamond painting going on right in the very beginning. I remember I had a gift card for Michael's, and I walked around trying to decide what I wanted to use it for, and I saw the diamond art section, and I thought, I've heard of this. I wonder if this is something that I would like to do, because I had been, as you know, acrylic painting, but I really wasn't in the mood to do any acrylic painting, so I already had supplies for it, and so I wanted to do something different. But I bought a little 8x8 Make Market. Actually, it was two colorful parrots, and I had it sitting on my desk for weeks. I would look at it. I never even opened the box. I would just look at it and go, I might need to do that sometime. And I was working part-time, but I still had some free time, of course. And finally one day, I wanted my dog to have me near him, and I set his bed up next to my desk. And I thought, I'm going to work on this while he's here, because he was having other problems too. He was having difficulty breathing sometimes, and I just wanted to have him next to me. And I opened up that diamond painting, and I was like, what in the world is this stuff? I didn't know anything about anything. I hadn't watched a video. I hadn't done anything. And it intrigued me, all those little drills. And I kind of read the instructions, and I didn't watch any YouTubes or anything. I just started working on it, figured it out kind of along the way. And when I finished it it took me a couple days. When I finished it, I was like, wow, that was really fun. And I loved the outcome. And I went to Walmart and I bought a frame for it. And then my dog was diagnosed with the tumor, and I had ordered, I think from Temu, maybe Amazon. Yeah, it must have been Temu, because I had ordered a diamond painting, or maybe a couple of them, and I couldn't wait for it to come in. I knew it was going to be, the slow boat from China. And I thought, well, let me go back to Michael's and see if there's something I like. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting for Temu, I'll have a diamond painting I can work on. So I found one that had a lake scene. It was really relaxing looking, a lot of blue water, a couple beach chairs. I think there was a sailboat in it. I don't know. But it was a bigger one. It was like 16 by 20. And I worked on that the whole time my dog was going through the major problems with the tumor and not being able to go to the bathroom and all that. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have diamond painting, because it really kept me calm and kept me centered and took my mind off of the worry. I mean, it was constant worry, but I felt like I could just get lost in my diamond painting and for a little while release the stress a little bit and the anxiety that I was feeling about having to put him down, because I knew I was going to have to. And a trip was coming up. I had promised my brother in Ohio that I would be visiting in the summer, and that trip was approaching in a few weeks. So anyway, ever since then, that was in May of 2023. So I've been diamond painting probably since April 2023. And in 2024, when I got these dogs, I stopped diamond painting for like 8 months because it was just, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like I didn't have my head in the right place to diamond painting. I was trying to house break them because they were making messes all over the house. Bless their heart, they didn't know any better. Trying to just manage 2 dogs that were from a hoarding house that were scared to death of people and had no dog skills whatsoever. They were adults, but they didn't know how to eat out of a bowl. They were used to eating off the floor, just a bare floor. And Toby continues to want to just eat off the bare floor. But Dottie is perfectly normal now. And then when I finally went back to diamond painting, it was like such a breath of fresh air. It was like, oh, I'm back. I feel so good. I'm able to relax enough to diamond paint. I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to relive January 2024 through about September 2024, because those were some hard days with these dogs. And yeah, of course, I thought about taking them back to the shelter, but I knew I could never do that. But there were days I would wake up and the mess and the dragging them outside, because neither one of them at first really wanted to go outside. They were too afraid. And the expense, I was trying different harnesses because I didn't want them to escape. I was trying different things for Toby, like strollers and backpacks that I would wear to put him in, to hold him close to me. I was taking them out minimum 5 times a day to potty train them, but probably more like 7 or 8 times a day. And the first few months I was working part-time, so Tuesday and Thursday I would come home and, oh my goodness, there would always be so many messes. And I had carpet because I was living in my apartment. So I had ordered on Amazon a steam cleaner, and I was always steam cleaning my carpets. But that was hard, but we got through it. And there were plenty of little achievements, little hints that they were coming around, which gave me joy and hope. And they started bonding to me. I had taken them to my sister's to play with her dogs. And I had left to go to the store. And no, I think we left to go to the restaurant for lunch. Yeah, that's what we did. We went to a restaurant. And when I got back, they thought I had abandoned them, and they just couldn't stop licking me. And Toby doesn't lick, but Toby was just pushing his body up against me, and they were crying. And I guess they thought I was leaving them at my sister's and abandoning them. And at that moment, I knew that we both were way too attached to each other to ever consider giving them back. And it's still a struggle, but nothing like the early days of bringing them home. And I recently, for the first time, got in touch with the shelter that I adopted them from and sent a picture of the two of them. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but I thought about it and I just didn't. But I saw her on Facebook, the owner of the shelter, and I thought, I'm going to message her and send her a picture. And she was so happy to see how well they were doing, because she knew they had the dogs at the shelter for a couple, maybe not quite a couple months, I don't think, but several weeks before they put them up for adoption, because they had to get them checked out and neutered and spayed. And all the dogs that they took 19 of the 49 dogs, and they all had skin problems, digestive problems, bacteria infections, you name it. They were a mess. But she was really, really happy to see them now and basically thanked me, but I don't need any thanks. I mean, I want to give them the last years of their life, good years, because they deserve it. And that's that. In case a lot of you have heard that story before, if you've been following me. But for those of you who just started following me, you might not know the background of my dogs. And so that is pretty much where they came from. They came from a hoarding house, and the people that lived in the hoarding house, they were drug addicts, and the females would have puppies, and they would sell the puppies for drug money. And they were kept in deplorable conditions. And some of the animals didn't make it. And my two are adults. Not all the dogs were adults. In fact, one of my friends that adopted one of them, we think might be my female dog, Dottie's puppy. But we've not gotten them together yet. I don't know if she would recognize if it was her puppy, if she would know that it was, Her dog is 2, and my dogs are 8 or 9 years old. The vet's not quite sure, but they definitely are adults. So one of these days, I think I'm going to try to get the dogs together, or at least Dottie, to see if she wants to play with Rango, is what my friend named her dog. They had named him Mustard because they named all the dogs after hot sauces and condiments. And in case you didn't know, Toby was Tabasco and Dottie was Wasabi. But of course I changed their names. I didn't want them named after hot sauce. So because of the little dots on Dottie's head and her back, that's where her name came from. And for Toby, I thought that was close to Tabasco. So the dogs didn't know their names because, like I said, they were at the shelter for a few weeks, and that's when they got their names. They never had names. But, yeah, it was sad. Really, really sad. But not anymore for them. They have a good life. As good as I can make it anyway. And I think they appreciate me too. They show me appreciation all the time. Dogs do that. My grandson loves them, and he wishes so bad that Toby would let him come near him and pet him without getting so afraid. But I keep telling him, give him time. Give him time. Let's say prayers. Let's ask St. Francis to intercede and help us with Toby. And my grandson, he's 7, and he wants so bad to be an animal rescuer. He watches all those shows on YouTube, on his TV, like the Dodo, and then just, kittens being rescued from underneath a house. And there's just so many, all animals. He loves all animals. But he told me, he goes, Grandma, I want to be a rescuer, but I also want to be a doctor because I want to be able to take care of them when I find them if they're sick or they're hurt. So I said, oh, you want to be a veterinarian? And he goes, yeah, I want to be both of those. And I said, okay, well, if that's what you want to be, you can be whatever you want to be. You just have to put your mind to it, study hard in school, which he does. He strives to be the best he can be. And the other day he had an earache, and he was at his dad's house. And his dad called my daughter and said, hey, Maddie's got an earache. They went swimming. We have drops, but it's really bothering him, and he might stay home from school tomorrow if he's still not feeling well. And my daughter said, yeah, by all means, don't send him to school if he's got an earache. And my grandson overheard the conversation, and he's like, I have to go to school. He's in 1st grade, granted. I have to go to school. We're doing such and such. I forget what they were doing in school, but we're doing such and such, and I have to beat Aiden because we have a contest and I have to be the smarter one. So already that young, and he wants to do well. Of course, it's a competition, boys are competitive, girls are too. But I pick him up and he's like, Grandma, I'm not the fastest runner. And I said, well, I never was the fastest runner. I said, he goes, well, what place did you come in? And I said, I usually was like 6th or 7th. And he goes, yeah, me too. And then he starts naming the boys that beat him in racing, in their little relay races. And I said, well, just remember, when you were 2 years old, you had a really bad fall on the hard tile floor at your dad's, and you broke your leg, and you severely broke your leg. Like you were in a body cast for like 7 weeks. And I said, that may have caused your leg a little bit of problem, but maybe as you keep growing, you'll get faster, because he is so into running. And I just tried to help him understand that he did take a pretty hard fall when he was a baby. That was, talk about stressful. That poor kid. He was just potty training, and he breaks his leg, and he's got to be in a cast all the way up to the top of his chest, and then one leg all the way down to the toe, and the other leg down to the knee. He didn't break the other leg, but they had to be able to hold the broken leg in place. So they casted the other one and put a bar between the two thighs, between his 2 legs, to hold his leg in place, which there is a name for that kind of cast, and I can't think of it, but when they're that young, that's what they do. They don't do it to older kids. Anyway, oh my gosh, the pain that he went through all through that. And we couldn't put him in a car seat. There was no way. And he weighed a ton because with all that cast material, oh goodness gracious, he was heavy. But we had to hire a company that had a van with, it was a medical company. that could take him to his doctor visits because he couldn't ride in the car as a normal child. And that was very expensive. And then in the house, just laying in bed for a 2-year-old that wants to get up and play, we put him in a wagon, one of those soft side wagons, and we would wheel him around to different rooms in the house and outside on the back patio to give him some fresh air, because that was the easiest way to transport him. And then we would put a table up next to him that he could reach with his toys. And we just had to be, crafty. We had to think of ways to keep him busy. And we bought him a tablet, and he would watch cartoons and Blippi and, his shows that he liked. And, it was just constant around the clock care, though. And right in the middle of that broken leg, my daughter had a car accident. Somebody had turned in front of her. She had a green light, and she didn't know he was going to turn and hit her side of the car, the front end, but it totaled her car and caused her to have a broken hand and a broken foot. So Grandma had a lot of work to do, helping to take care of her. Of course, she was dating her husband now, but he was a great help. We were washing her hair, and we were helping with the kid, with Maddie, her child. She didn't have Audrey yet, but I'll tell you, life can be hard at times, but we said a lot of prayers, we got through it. And there were other things going on that I won't mention with custody battles and stuff, but some rough years. Yeah, and I'm sure everybody has their crosses. Some crosses are heavier to carry than others, but that was our cross in 2019 and 2020. But we came together and helped each other. So going on 47 minutes, I think I probably need to stop and run to the grocery store, get some fruit, and maybe I'm going to get some tortilla chips and salsa too. That's what I brought last year. It's funny because I couldn't remember what I brought last year, and I was telling my grandson, I signed up for fruit, and I said, because I can't remember what I brought last year, but the teachers really liked it. And he goes, remember we brought those corn chips, those Tostitas, and salsa. I said, oh my gosh, yes, you have such a good memory. And so I think I'm going to pick that up too. He told me he had a memory like an elephant. They're learning about animals. And the other day he told me that he has ears like a dolphin. Kids are so funny. They're so cute. I always agree with them. Yes, you hear very well. You're blessed. And this Sunday is a very important Sunday for a lot of families, and I'm very happy that this weekend we have him because it's shared custody and his dad has him every other week. So he gets to sing in the choir this Sunday. He gets to go to church, and it's Mother's Day, but it's the week, it's the Sunday that all the second graders that have been studying in their religious education, First Holy Communion. So they're going to be making their First Holy Communion, and we get to see them. So we're excited that we're going to get to witness that. It's so precious to see those small children all dressed in their white dresses and the boys in their suits and ties. And they go up to the altar and they receive our Lord Jesus for the first time in Holy Communion. So next year, Maddie will be one of those children. I'm so excited. We're going to probably have a little party afterwards at the house, some cake, refreshments. I remember mine. I was in second grade too, but I remember my Aunt Bertha and Uncle Frank. They were German, and they loved coming over to our house, and I remember how happy they were for my sister and I. We were both in the same grade. Long story short, her birthday's in September, mine's in October. We're 11 months apart, and I had to start school late because of my birthday, so we ended up in the same grade. But anyway, yeah, I remember mine. And we have pictures, although back then you didn't take a lot of pictures because you didn't have cell phones and it wasn't as easy, and so we had, I think, Polaroid cameras back then where it was instant, the picture came out. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm thinking back to the pictures in the photo albums. I'll have to get them out. Maybe that's what I'll do one day, is I'll get some old pictures and show them of my family when we were little. So we'll give that some thought. But anyway, happy memories. So you guys have a good rest of the day, and I will be back on probably tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Bye now.